Hi, Fadi. Good morning. You're muted. We wait 1 or 2 minutes more so that another speaker can connect because he had some technical issues in updating his Zoom. Good morning, dear colleagues. We wait 1 or 2 minutes more to have all the speakers on board.
Okay. شكرا.
So Mr. Muhammad Fuad Abdelazim has joined, right, Akmara?
I don't see him. I don't see him.
He says he can hear you. I don't know. I called him.
I don't see him here on the practice room.
Dakmara, good
And
morning.
I'm in gallery mode. I still don't see him.
Dakmara, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great.
Only if you can increase a little bit the volume, the sound.
علي الفوليوم من عندك تبع اللابتوب حتى نقدر نقدر.
And now, is it
I
better?
don't know why I don't see him.
And now you can hear me better?
Yeah, much better. Thank you. Shukran. Much, much better. Ah, okay. Can you use a headset, Fadi? Can you use a headset?
I'm using the mic and Jabra. It's a very sophisticated one. I don't know why. Is this any problem in hearing me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you well.
Yeah, it's good.
Great.
Okay, Dr. Muna, I cannot see him. I don't know why I cannot see Mr. Mohammed Fuad. I don't know.
Okay, I called him again to raise the volume and to talk to you. So he's trying.
No, but maybe he joined with the general link, not on the practice, our own individual link in our room.
Okay.
Dr. Muna, what is his name? Muhammad Khalil?
Mohammed Fuad Abdel Azim.
Muhammad Fuad Abdelazim اسمه.
Okay. No, I'm trying to find if he entered as an attendee and not panelist.
Hey, okay.
He entered the general, that's why he can see me, but I don't see him here.
Can Dr. Muhammad Abdel Khalil فيك تعمل raise hand بس so I can see. Okay.
Okay, I think we have to start because it's already 10 minutes past. So I will start, okay? And then hopefully he can, yeah, now I see you. Yeah, Mr. Mohammed, can you share your screen quickly? Good morning, marhaba. Can you share your screen just as a test to see if it's working? Yes, okay. Okay, now you can stop sharing. Okay, Ellie, we can then start. Yeah. So marhaba, sabah al-khair, good morning, dear colleagues from many countries. I see in the chat from our Arab states, but also from other countries. So welcome to this third webinar on the repository of promising teaching and learning practices that UNESCO office in Beirut developed in partnership with the Arab Thought Foundation. We started this series of webinars last September. So on September the 6th, we conducted the first webinar on general issues regarding quality of teaching and learning. And then on September the 7th, Mr. Fadi, our colleague from UNESCO Beirut, Mr. Fadi Arak, he conducted a webinar on the teacher role in promoting Arab language literacy. So this is now the third webinar of this fall that deals with very important topics for everybody, namely the digital transformation of education. As you may remember, when I started the series of webinars, I mentioned that actually a good part of the repository is dealing with this topic, the digital transformation of education. So maybe 40% or even more of the templates of the cases that are presented as good practices are dealing with this topic, which shows that teachers are really very much concerned, and they have a very creative approach to this new phenomenon. Now, let me share my screen. But before that, I will give the floor to Mr. Fadi Arak, our colleague, the Senior Advisor for Education in the Arab States, to welcome you on behalf of our director. Mr. Fadi.
Thank you, Dr. Mara. صباح الخير للجميع. أهلا وسهلا فيكم بهذه الندوات عن بعد حول الممارسات الواعدة في التعليم. وكما ذكرت زميلتي دكتور مارا، هذه هي الندوة الثالثة، واليوم معنيين بالتعليم باستعمال التكنولوجيا. هناك ممارسات جدا واعدة في المنطقة العربية، ونحن نفتخر بكل معلم ومعلمة قامت بابتكار أو باستعمال هذه التقنيات الحديثة. هناك فعلا ابتكارات جديدة حفزت التلامذة وأعطت مجال للمعلمين والممارسين من إبراز ما يخزنون من معلومات عميقة ومهمة في مجالاتهم في التعليم، في علم التربية وفي المواد التعليمية، وذلك في كافة المراحل والفصول. أجدد الترحاب فيكم باسم مكتب اليونسكو المتعدد القطاعات من بيروت للدول العربية، وأتمنى للجميع ندوة موفقة، ونحن على أتم الاستعداد للتواصل الدائم ولأخذ اقتراحاتكم وأسئلتكم، وإن شاء الله للندوات المقبلة. وشكرا للجميع. Dr. Mara, I want to again to thank you and your team and the colleagues who are attending this webinar, and we welcome all of them and hope you recommend their advices, recommendation definitely will be taken for next webinars. The floor is yours, and hope it will be a productive webinar. Thank you.
Shukran, Mr. Fadi Arak. I'm now giving you some house rules. I will share some house rules for this webinar very quickly. Please, you can use interpretation, simultaneous interpretation. There is on the bottom of your screen a symbol of the earth, and there you can choose your channel. So either the original language, or you listen to the English channel and you will hear everything in English, or to the Arabic channel and you will hear everything in Arabic. We tested, it should work, so it's working. Then, dear participants, please, during the presentations, if you have questions or comments to make, to share, please mention them in the Q&A section or in the chat function. And we will make sure as facilitators to select some of these issues and address the panelists. The session will be recorded, and we have also the recordings of the previous webinars. And with our new colleague who is dealing with social media, Mrs. Nisreen, we will prepare a page for the website quite soon to share the links to the recordings, so that you have access also to the recordings of these webinars. And participants will also receive an automatic participation diploma from the organizers. So I think with this being said, I will say some words about the webinar and why this topic and how we'll work. So it's a very brief introduction to our webinar. So that is supposed to take like 2 hours, to last for 2 hours. Last time, because we had many speakers, we had 10 speakers, we exceeded the time. So the webinar, the first one took almost 2 hours and a half. But we hope that we can now keep our time within these 2 hours, planned 2 hours. And there will be actually 2 chunks. We invited 8 speakers, 8 presenters. However, only 7 could make it. One of them, I think she cannot join. So we have plenty of time for each of the speakers. And please, dear panelists, consider like 10 minutes for you. For each of you. And then during your presentations, I will collect questions and answers. And then actually I will also at the end of each session, of each chunk of presentations, I will address these questions to you so that you can answer directly. I see also one request that people want the link of the past webinars. I will share them. At the end of the session, I will share the links of the previous recordings. So the topic today, again, it's about digital transformation of education. And this looks like a very important priority topic for teachers. Not just because of the COVID crisis, but because the new technologies, they provide us with new opportunities. They cannot do everything. So we want to explore with our panelists and with you, what are the benefits of using new technologies or technologies moreover, and what is the added value of such technologies, what can teachers do, and what are also some limitations of technologies. When we prepared the repository, we were really amazed, Dr. Muna Napani and I. Dr. Muna, she's been the head consultant of this process. We've been amazed by the innovative potential of teachers, by how courageously they tackled the challenge of new technologies, how they learned to use new technologies, but also to become creators of software, of applications. So They went from simply users of technologies to creators of the software, and to also teaching their peers sometimes, and teaching their students. In many of the templates that we selected for the repository, we could also learn how students were also engaged very creatively in this process of creating customized applications that have been used either in subjects or across the curriculum or in extracurriculum activities. We have today teachers and education specialists that are specialists of different subjects, but also people dealing with special needs education and with extracurriculum activities. So I hope it's going to be a very interesting session. And I want to also announce that next year we'll continue with the series of webinars, because we have in the repository, we have 130 templates. So we have to invite more people to share their experiences. So for now, the calendar includes November and December. So we'll have in November, at the end of November, 28th of November, we'll have a fourth webinar that deals with education for sustainable development and greening education, the role of teachers in all these processes. And the last one will be on the issue of teacher professional development, and it will be conducted on the 12th of December. So this being said, I will now share my screen so that I talk a little bit about the repository, especially for those who are new with us now. So sorry to repeat for those who are old friends for this process, but for the new ones, I just want very briefly to tell you some words about the repository. Okay. Can you see the screen? Can you see the presentation? Yes, okay. So the repository of promising teaching and learning practices is again an initiative of both UNESCO office in Beirut and our partner, the Arab Saud Foundation. We launched the repository last June, so it's been a long process to select among 300 or more than 300 submissions, the 130 templates that were included in the book. And we are still editing the book a little bit to be able to publish it as soon as possible. But we'll also share the links to the repository with the recordings that our colleague from our IT section will help us to put on our website. So actually, the repository process started a year ago, last October, and we tried to share a call for contributions. We received by the end of the year of 2022 more than 300 such contributions, and it's really amazing to see how teachers could actually cover a broad range of topics. And we then tried to also cluster a little bit the templates. So we decided with Dr. Muna Naphani, our lead consultant, to select these main topics that you see on my screen. So some of the templates, they talk about different issues related to quality teaching and learning. For instance, the issue of the role of teacher in promoting interactive methodologies, in motivating learners, in dealing with emotional and social learning, in dealing with student-centered approaches, and other issues that are all very important in making sure that whatever we do in schools is based on quality standards and is leading to quality results. Then today we, of course, again, we deal with these many templates that tackled the process of digital transformation of education. And next time, as said, we'll talk about ESD, the role of teachers in promoting ESD and greening education. And then finally, how teachers can contribute to teacher professional development, either their own professional development or their peers' professional development. And as cross-cutting issues, of course, we focus on the role of teachers as researchers, as grassroots researchers, and also on collaborations and partnerships, because all these initiatives, all these very important and interesting initiatives that teachers and other stakeholders have shared in the repository, they are documenting about the importance of strategic partnerships and collaboration, either within the school or school and community or the broader community of educators. So we identified, of course, through these many templates in the repository, different trends. And Dr. Muna Naphani, after my presentation, will immediately talk more in depth about the trends we could identify and the issues we could identify with regard to digital transformation of education in the Arab states, both the opportunities but also the challenges. I will not take a lot of time to go through these trends, because Dr. Muna Naphani, our consultant, she also prepared an introductory study for the repository that is very comprehensive and is sharing all these new trends in terms of new developments and some recurrent issues for the teachers in our region. For instance, the concern for inclusive approaches, the concern to align curriculum and teaching practices and assessment and learning environments, and the fact that teachers, they took upon themselves many new roles, not just as transmitters of education, of learning, but facilitators of learning, counselors for students, researchers, and even software developers, as we'll see quite soon. So the repository is also a very good tool to link theory and practice, because each of our teachers who contributed with templates, with their cases, with their examples, they also stated why this practice looked to them as effective, as promising, and what's the theoretical background, what inspired them, how they considered to use this practice for which kind of needs, but also what is the, let's say, theoretical underpinning, what is their assumptions, what are their assumptions about learning and learners. So the repository will be used actually by those who are interested in learning about these practices as a reference document. We don't want to impose these practices. As you know, teachers are autonomous and free to think about their own conditions, their own learners, and what works best for them. But I think the repository is an interesting reference document that could inspire many, and we hope that next year we can collect more of such practices, maybe in a different way, to document, maybe through a video, how teachers deal with this challenge of improving learning and obtaining better results with their students. So thank you very much for participating again in this meeting today. I'll now stop sharing my screen. And before giving the floor to our distinguished panelists, our colleagues who will present their examples, of promising teaching and learning practices. I would like to give the floor to Dr. Muna Naphani, who's a dear friend and a long-term collaborator of our office, and who used to be the lead consultant for this project, Tarbiyah21 repository. Dr. Muna Naphani, she was a professor of education at LAU. She's now retired, but still very active. So Dr. Muna, please introduce yourself and then share about your your ideas, your kind of observations about the digital transformation of education in the Arab states. So the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Dakmara. Today, I prefer to speak in English. I prefer to guide you through a summary of the repository, all the templates. We have 130 plus an extra 20, so around 120, 150. I will start by summarizing the problems that the teachers and principals and educators faced during and post-COVID, and then the trends that I found in their solutions to these issues. The main issues were really in dealing with virtual environments, problems for the students and for the teachers and for the schools, for the infrastructure of the schools. So this was a major issue. Another one, the issues of language learning through blended or remote learning, specifically dealing with the writing skills, spoken component, and so on. There was an issue in deteriorating performance of students in the main subjects, math, science, languages, and the well-being. This is a relatively modern term. The well-being of teachers and students, and sometimes the principals, was noted in these contributions by all these educators in the Arab world and the North Africa, MENA region. There were many misconceptions in understanding math because due to virtual teaching and learning, and learning difficulties became more noticed, whether it is dyslexia, whatever problems they have, they were really very evident, and the teacher was remote, so she could not really deal with this properly. There was a lack of extracurricular and co-curricular activities to support the main curriculum. And there was a need definitely for differentiated instruction because it was noticed that the speed of learning was different, and this really led to many issues in teaching and learning. What were the main trends I pulled out from the repository? So this is the information we received from the MENA region, from all types of schools, vocational, elementary, secondary, teacher training sometimes. The first one was a trend to enhance self-directed learning in learners. So no more teaching content. You want them to be independent. They wanted them to be independent. There was a trend to create positive virtual learning environments through using technology. So we'll see in a bit how gamification was used, how phone applications were used just to attract the students who were losing motivation. There was a need to support learners who were too shy to participate online. Some of them would not speak, and some of them had irregular access to internet. So the use of flipped classrooms was accentuated, and we had many examples of how these were used successfully. There was a trend for using psychosocial support with academic learning objectives to address behavior of learners. So there was a lot of self-management, training students to self-manage, to manage their emotions, to be aware of why they're behaving like this, and so on. This is a whole field on its own. And of course, there was a trend by teachers, specifically the science teachers, to reduce misconceptions through using simulations. We saw this in chemistry lab simulations during COVID. We saw this in immersive virtual reality in physics classrooms, through animations, through robotics, and sometimes artificial intelligence. And there was a trend to cater for learning difficulties. So people were really interested in dealing with gaps and learning loss and all that. More trends, game-based learning, interactive game environments, and we saw this in all subjects. We saw it in geography, in social sciences. We saw this mainly in math, science, and interdisciplinary concepts. There was a trend to enhance the well-being of learners. Teachers did not get much attention, which is very sad, and we did not have enough research really on teachers' well-being until later. There was a trend to enhance engagement of both learners and teachers and creativity. So the teachers themselves collaborated sometimes with each other to create digital pedagogical tools. And later on, when you have a look at the repository, you will see in the section on the digital transformation of education on how creative the teachers were, with minimal expenses really. There was a huge trend to conduct formative assessment. Some of them used Kahoot. And this is how they identified the problems in the main subjects so they could address them. And of course, there was another trend to develop cognitive and motor skills in children, specifically with autism spectrum disorder. Unfortunately, we had a presenter who was talking about her experience, but she stopped communicating with me, and she used Kinect-based games with autistic children. Another trend was to create websites. We're going to do it today to see 2 or 3 websites. We have the Smart School of Dr. Al-Shamsi, and we have Fuad Abdelazim. They have their own websites to share with us. And there was a tendency really, which is very touching, to deal with female learners' math proficiency, because it was noticed through virtual learning that some female learners were afraid of math and STEAM projects and so on. So the technology was used really to make this very interesting for them to create projects and so on. Another trend was in language learning through fun virtual extracurricular activities in writing skills and teaching Arabic language. And I'm very proud that Mr. Muhammad, who's going to talk about, Muhammad Al-Hamoud, who's going to talk about Arabic language using technology in it. There was a major shift in teachers' role, which is very interesting for me because I'm a teacher educator and teacher trainer. We saw many initiatives in addressing diverse abilities, starting with formative assessment and then differentiating instruction to fit the different abilities and guide them through learning concepts. Motivation through technology, through activities and games. We saw one very interesting activity in geography by using Google Maps and so on. And of course, most of the teachers were very concerned with the learning loss that happened during virtual learning and during and post-COVID. So we saw many beautiful examples of how learning loss was handled through technology that is familiar to the students, to the learners. Employing formative assessment to target areas that need work was really a huge trend, and it appeared that it became one of the roles, the new roles of teachers. We do formative assessment, we collect data, and then we plan the lessons or we adjust the unit plans. There was a lot of peer learning. This was also a major change in teachers' role. They learned from each other. They created in the same school, peer learning in the same subject area, and sometimes across schools in the same country via virtual clouds where people shared their experiences. And finally, the teachers naturally became creators of lessons that are paced according to the students' abilities, specifically in hybrid sessions. And they could really engage students in live sessions. They created many interesting ways of engaging them because we know that teachers lost motivation, they were bored, they didn't want to do things, and so on. And finally, technology was used in providing make-up work for absent students. And we're going to see this. One of the schools that are participating with us today will demonstrate this from the north of Lebanon. What is important for educators from all this work that we've been doing, Dr. Dakmara and I, for the past year? Technology can be used to facilitate learning. It's not a myth. It can be, and we saw it. It can be used to provide learning opportunities for people who are bored with paper books and traditional curricula. It was possible through technology to create student-paced sessions. And students were allowed to be creative by responding to the lessons, by demonstrating the learning through technology in many different ways. They're very creative. Sharing on platforms became a big hit. We saw it in schools. We saw it in countries like Libya. We saw it in other countries where people volunteered on a virtual platform and they contributed their success stories. Teachers, educators, their knowledge became accessible to a large audience, much larger than their classrooms. So we saw involvement of parents in many different ways. And of course, at the level of the whole school and further, the use of technology was documented on websites to be shared by all teachers. That's it. Do you have any questions for me?
Thank you very much, Dr. Muna. I noticed some of the comments mentioning that this is an important topic, and participants think that it was a good choice to choose this topic for the webinar, and that we have to also, of course, think of the added value of using technology and how the work with students can be facilitated and how can we obtain better results. Which is what our colleagues now, our dear and distinguished panelists, will now try to explain from their own perspective. As said in the agenda, we have two chunks of presentations. I will facilitate the first one, that is dealing with the role of ICTs, of new technologies in enhancing teaching and learning, in enhancing the quality of teaching and learning. And then the second chunk of 4 presentations will be facilitated by Dr. Muna Napani. And the second part will focus on more specific issues, for instance, how to use ICTs and the digital transformation of education to enhance curriculum delivery and results of learning, how to deal with achieving SDG 4, which is an important issue, and how to enhance learning outcomes, especially for students who need more support. So this being said, I want to recall to our dear guests and also to our distinguished panelists that each presenter should have a maximum of 10 minutes to present their experiences, during which time, please, you can mention in the chat function or question and answer your questions and comments, and we'll try after the presentations to get back to your comments and questions. So the first one to talk is Mrs. Khulud Abdallah Hamad Al-Shamsi, in partnership with her colleague, Mrs. Asma Omar, from the United Arab Emirates, who, as you know, is a kind of pioneer state in applying digital solutions in education. So Mrs. Khulud and Mrs. Asma, the floor is yours.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. في البداية أشكركم على إتاحة الفرصة لنا. أشكر اليونسكو على إتاحة الفرصة لنا لعرض أفضل الممارسات في مجال التحول الرقمي في التعليم والتعلم. أرحب بكم من دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة. معكم خلود عبد الله حمد الشامسي من مؤسسة الإمارات للتعليم المدرسي، مديرة مدرسة واسط النموذجية سابقاً، مديرة مجمع زايد التعليمي الرحمانية حالياً. رائد التغيير الأستاذة أسماء عمر عبد اللطيف، وهي مدرب معتمد وحاصلة على لقب معلم مايكروسوفت الخبير. نبذة تعريفية. محدثتكم حاصلة على تقدير ممتاز في بكالوريوس العلوم جامعة الإمارات، حاصلة على دبلوم ممتاز في القيادة المدرسية من الكلية الوطنية للقيادة المدرسية نوتنغهام بريطانيا، حاصلة على لقب معلم مايكروسوفت خبير، حاصلة على الرخصة المهنية المعتمدة رخصة القيادات المدرسية، مترشحة ضمن القائمة النهائية لأوسمة رئيس مجلس الوزراء فئة أفضل مدير مدرسة عام 21 حاصل على شهادة الإنجاز برنامج القيادة التربوية برعاية كلية الإمارات للتطوير التربوي. لدي خبرة في مجمع زايد التعليمي، هذا المجمع الذي افتتح هذا العام ضمن 11 مجمعا تعليميا على مستوى الدولة، ويعد أحدث صرح تعليمي في الدولة تم بناؤه وفق معايير عالمية توفر بيئة تعليمية لأبنائنا ومركز للإبداع والابتكار وصناعة أجيال المستقبل، ويضم 2500 طالب وطالبة، حيث تؤكد قيادتنا الرشيدة سعيها الدؤوب إلى تعزيز مكانة الإمارات مركزا عالميا لتوظيف التكنولوجيا الحديثة في خدمة وتنمية المجتمع ورفع جودة الحياة. دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة أصبحت مثالاً للنجاح والابتكار في مجالات عدة في ظل ما تتميز به من بنية تحتية متطورة واقتصاد مزدهر وروح استباقية في مواكبة التطورات العالمية. ويأتي هنا دورنا كقادة للمدارس في الدولة لتطبيق أفضل الممارسات الذكية في عملية التعليم والتعلم. وجاءت مبادرة مدرستي الذكية واحدة من أهم المبادرات التي تهدف إلى توفير بيئة تعليمية تعاونية تنافسية حاضنة للابتكار وريادة الأعمال وتحويلها إلى مراكز بحثية عالمية، تنفيذاً لمئوية الإمارات 2071 والتي تهدف إلى التحول الرقمي والاقتصاد المعرفي ونقل أفضل الممارسات في التعلم الذكي وتبادل الخبرات بين المعلمين. هذه المبادرة بدأت من 2018 2022 وتتضمن مجموعة من المبادرات والبرامج والأنشطة التي تعمل في نقل المعرفة والتعليم وتمكين المعلمين والطلبة من استخدام أحدث التقنيات والتعلم لخلق مجتمع رقمي متكامل في ظل نظام عالمي رقمي سريع التغيير. ومن أهم هذه البرامج برنامج محمد بن راشد للتعلم الذكي، وبرامج الذكاء الاصطناعي التي استندنا عليها في هذه المبادرة، ومبادرة أيضا رقميون بلا حدود، والمختبرات العلمية الافتراضية، والأندية الافتراضية، وأيضا الهاكاثون والكابستون، والمكتبة الرقمية والأمن السيبراني، بالإضافة إلى مركز واسط للأبحاث العلمية. هنا شكلنا فريق العمل بقيادة رائد التغيير الأستاذة أسماء محمد عمر، ومجموعة من الفرق منها فريق الدعم الفني، فريق البحث والابتكار، فريق السلامة الرقمية، فريق النضج الإلكتروني، وفريق المواهب. طبعا هذه المبادرة اعتمدنا في العمل مع شركات ومؤسسات مجتمعية عديدة في دولة الإمارات العربية المتحدة، من أهمها هيئة تنظيم الاتصالات والحكومة الرقمية، مجمع الشارقة للبحوث والتكنولوجيا والابتكار، كليات التقنية العليا، انتل، ناسا، مايكروسوفت، مؤسسة حمدان بن راشد للأداء التعليمي المتميز، والEFQM، واليونسكو أيضا. رحلة التحول الرقمي في مدرسة واسط النموذجية بدأت من 2018 قبل الجائحة، حيث تم الاعتماد على مايكروسوفت تيمز لعمل فرق افتراضية واجتماعات افتراضية قبل الجائحة، وهنا تكمن الاستباقية. ثم بدأ تطوير المبنى، وبعد ذلك حصلنا على المصادقة، مستوى متميز في المصادقة الخارجية للتقييم الذاتي للتحول المدارس الذكية. نظمنا عدة ملتقيات، منها ملتقيات خاصة بالذكاء الاصطناعي والروبوتات والأمن السيبراني، وتم تكريم المدرسة من قبل سمو الفريق الشيخ سيف بن زايد آل نهيان ضمن المدارس الآمنة رقميا على مستوى الدولة. هنا نستعرض جانب من إنجازات المدرسة، حصولها على 5 نجوم في تقييم عملية التعلم عن بعد على مستوى النطاق. وأهم إنجاز هو فوز المدرسة عام 2022 بالميدالية الذهبية في الدورة الأولى لجائزة التميز المدرسي للمكتب العربي لدول الخليج العربية، بالإضافة إلى المشاركة في جائزة حمدان العالمية للأداء التعليمي المتميز EFQM. هنا أيضا بعض النتائج والآثار لهذه المبادرة، من أهمها فوز الطالبات بمسابقات علمية وأدبية ورياضية على مستوى الدولة، على المستوى الإقليمي والدولي، وتأهل الكوادر والموظفين بالمدرسة وحصولهم على الشهادات التدريبية المعتمدة بالدولة والرخصة بنسبة 90%. نستعرض عليكم الآن جانب من الإنجازات التي حصلنا عليها كناتج لهذه المبادرة. هنا فوز المدرسة بجائزة التميز المدرسي، هنا تكريم الفريق سمو الشيخ سيف بن زايد للمدارس الآمنة رقميا، هنا الحصول على المستوى المتميز المصادقة بالتقييم الذاتي عام 2018، وهذا طبعا هنا تكمن الاستباقية في حصولنا على هذا المستوى المتميز. أيضا مشاركة المدرسة في الEFQM الجائزة العالمية، هنا إنجازات الطلبة على المستوى العالمي في الذكاء الاصطناعي والروبوتات، وهنا تكريم الدكتور الشيخ سلطان القاسمي حاكم الشارقة للطالبة خلال مشاركتها في هذه المسابقة. أيضا هناك فوز كبير للمسابقات الأولمبيادات العلمية للطالبات في الفيزياء والرياضيات في أولمبياد الفيزياء الخليجي في السعودية. هنا نلاحظ أيضا العديد من الفوز في المسابقات العلمية والابتكارية، جائزة الشيخة فادية الصباح في الكويت في كأفضل مشاريع علمية بالتعاون مع شركات مجمع الشارقة للبحوث والابتكار أيضا وإنتل. هنا أيضا نستعرض بعض جانب من الإنجازات، مشاركة مع ناسا في جلوب معلم جلوب. أيضا هنا عرض أفضل ممارسات في اليونسكو، التعاون مع اليونسكو في نشر هذه الممارسة الواعدة على مستوى الوطن العربي. هنا نلاحظ رضا أولياء الأمور عن جودة الخدمات والموظفين أيضا نلاحظ أن نسبة رضا أولياء الأمور وارتفع المؤشر في تقديم الدعم التقني إلى 92.7 عام 2023، وجودة التعليم وصلت إلى 96%. رضا الموظفين أيضا في جودة التعليم وصلت خلال 3 سنوات إلى 96%، ومؤشر السعادة والإيجابية وصل إلى 99%، ورضا الموظفين عن برامج التطوير المهني وصلت إلى 98%. هنا نستعرض أيضا ونلاحظ أيضا المستوى الأكاديمي وارتفاع المستوى الأكاديمي مقارنة بمدارس الدولة. نلاحظ هنا أيضا المواهب اللي هو أيضا نلاحظ هنا كفاءة المعلمين المؤهلين مؤهلين في السايبر سيكيورتي اكسبرت، وأيضا في المعلم مايكروسوفت الخبير، وحصولهم على درجات ماستر بنسبة عالية. هنا نلاحظ مؤشرات أداء خطط التطوير المهني للموظفين على مدى عدة سنوات من 2018، وهذه المؤشرات نلاحظ أنها في ارتفاع. نشكركم على المتابعة. We cannot hear you. You are muted. Excuse me, you are muted. We cannot hear you.
Dr. Dakmara, you are muted.
Yeah, I'm now unmuted. Sorry. I had some technical issues and I wanted to make sure that I'm reconnected. So thank you very much, Mrs. Kulud and Mrs. Asma, for this very rich presentation. I want to summarize very quickly and to focus on some of your main points in your presentation. What you shared is, of course, again, a pioneering initiative of the United Arab Emirates, which is a country who used extensively new technologies even before COVID, and this way they were very well prepared for the crisis. And I remember we had also regional workshops in the COVID times, And we relied very much on the experience of the United Arab Emirates about how they continued the schooling process using the opportunities offered by the new technologies. You mentioned rightly the expertise that is needed, because it's an area that requires a lot of expertise on behalf of specialized people, but also of teachers. And you mentioned also about how you tried to develop these smart schools, and how to engage with a whole school approach to involve everybody, and how to also cooperate with specialized agencies like Microsoft, but also other businesses, with parents, with teachers, with communities and students, of course, and how you tried to include in these processes all the new developments like artificial intelligence, robotics, the virtual learning environments, and to make good usage of all these new opportunities. Then you talked also about the results in terms of both the learning outcomes, how this got enhanced in different ways, but also the results in terms of teachers' capacities. And I'm very glad to hear that the number of teachers who are now proficient in using new technologies increased quite substantively. And of course the rewards, because I think this is a good way of actually getting rewarded for your good work. And you mentioned the Hamdan Prize, which is probably, you know, a very prestigious international prize for teachers who are innovative and who succeed to enhance their learning, the learners' competencies by the way of different innovative projects. So thank you very, very much. And I'll give now the floor to Mrs. Niwen Badawi from Lebanon. So from the United Arab Emirates, we go to Lebanon. And Mrs. Niwen Badawi, she will talk about the role of technologies in facilitating teaching and learning. And I'm very happy about the title of her presentation, because sometimes we think that the new technologies are the real aim, yeah, are the real goal, but they are not there as a real goal. They are as a tool, as an instrument to facilitate teaching and learning. So Mrs. Niwen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Dakmara. My name is Niveen Badawi. I'm an elementary English teacher at International School Al-Qura. I've been working at International School Al-Qura for the past 14 years. Throughout these years, our school administration guided and supported us to apply various practices that promote and enhance learning, leading to a generation of students that are ready for the real world. Before I begin, I would like to mention that in year 2017, we at IS launched IS Qura 2020, where we put technologies in place to achieve our vision regarding the shifts taking place in education worldwide. We began using Google apps, and we created email accounts for our students. So with the lockdown, the shift from traditional to online was very smooth. This takes us to the practice that I'll be talking about today, using technology to facilitate teaching and learning. I will be sharing my screen. Okay. One second. At IS, we use PBL, project-based learning, where technology plays a very important role. First of all, okay, one second, I will. Okay, using technology in education is simply the integration of instructional technology into the learning environment. Technology has transformed. Sorry, one second. Okay, Okay, technology has transformed the way we access, process, and apply information. At IS, we use a PBL approach, which is project-based learning, where technology plays a very important role supporting the learning process. So technology and PBL help students become 21st century self-learners and problem solvers. There are many digital tools that our school introduced us to and provided professional workshops to guide us. Among these tools, the ones that I use the most in my teaching practices are Nearpod, Google Slides, and Jamboard, which I will be talking about later. Let's start with Nearpod. Nearpod is an interactive learning tool that engages students to be active learners rather than receivers. Nearpod lessons can be either synchronous or asynchronous, and this was a great advantage when we went online during the lockdown. As you can see here, there's live participation on the left and student-paced on the right. Live participation is the synchronous mode where the teacher controls the flow of the lesson and tracks student engagement. Student-paced is the asynchronous mode where students work independently at their own pace. Okay, here I'm going to show you what I mentioned earlier about live participation on Nearpod. The teacher could see the screens of each of her students. Here I have 2 screens if there are 2 students. If the teacher has 20 students, you will see 20 boxes here on the screen. The student and the teacher will be able to see each student's work after they submit their work. Okay, this was wonderful during the lockdown because, as I said earlier, students are engaged learners and not only receivers. Nearpod also adds interest and excitement into everyday learning with engaging activities like time to climb, drag and drop activity, draw it, matching pairs, and PhET simulations. PhET simulations, which is like a lab in real life and is used to explore and discover things in math. So it's used for science and math. I will show examples of these activities later. I will click on the link later on and show you what these activities are. And also the teacher can create quizzes, polls, open-ended questions, and more using Nearpod. Okay, and we have to also mention that there's a collaborate board in Nearpod. It's a very nice board. We use it students use it to brainstorm ideas or maybe to answer questions. It's like a bulletin board. Students can see each other's answers, each other's work. So it's a very good way to collaborate. Here I'm going to click on the Nearpod sample of activities. I want to show you what I mean with draw it activities, time to climb activities, which students really love. So here, Nearpod, they click on the link, they have to type their name, they join the lesson, and then they will be able to submit their work. 1 second, I'm waiting for it to download. Okay, the first activity will be the draw it activity. Now we have to go to Nearpod. Okay. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, now. Okay, so here we are joining a lesson, a Nearpod lesson. To only check the activities, we type our name and we click join lesson, and we will be able to join the lesson. As I said, we can go online or student-based, where the student will work on his own. And the teacher can check his work later. Okay. Okay, this is a draw it activity. For example, if we're talking about letter sounds, so here the student can use many tools at the bottom. Now we will show them. We have the crayon, we have highlighter, we have eraser, text box, shapes, you can add images. Here we read the instructions, color the letter that matches the beginning sound, and if we can also record our voice to read the instruction for the students. So the student will highlight maybe the correct answer, okay, the beginning sound, and then they need to submit their answers so that the teacher will be able to check their work. And this is a drag and drop activity. Also, this activity is very nice. You can use it for different lessons, vocab maybe, or phonics, anything you like. So here we have to look at the picture and we have to drag and drop the correct beginning sound of each picture. It's really nice. You can be very creative here and you can create your own activities. Okay, and submit. Of course, we will be able to check their work, and we can also add an answer key here so that the kids can check their own work. Okay, this is a matching pair activity. Also, you can use it for vocab, for phonics, anything Arabic, the history, anything you want. So here we have to match the rhyming words. The kids are able to match them. If it's wrong, let me show you. Directly they will know that the answer is wrong. Okay, and this is what the students like the best. It's the time to climb activity. They really love it. So they have to answer questions about the lesson, of course, and they have to be careful. They have to be quick, and they have to answer the questions correctly. So this is a time to climb activity. It takes time to download. If you want, you can check it later if it will take too much time, but it's really nice and kids really like it. You add your questions and the kids will be answering the questions while playing a very nice game. Okay, so these are the Nearpod activities that I really use, and they are really very nice in class and for the online lessons. Okay, I'm sharing my screen again. Okay, and I need to add, 1 second, the screen. Okay. Okay, and also we have something called Flipgrid. Now it's called Flip nowadays, where we can also I'm so sorry. It seems I lost connection. Can you all hear me?
Now, yes, now, yes. But it's frozen again. I think it's frozen again.
Can you see my screen?
No, only
Okay,
you.
So
now we can see, yes. Now we can see your screen.
It's frozen?
No.
No, sorry. Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so Flipgrid, and nowadays they are calling it Flip. It allows learners of all ages to find their voices, share their voices, and respect the diverse voices of others. Here I would like to show you a project where we used Flipgrid. Grade 3 students researched about inventors. They had fun dressing up as the inventors to present them. Critical thinking and communication by watching each other's videos and learned about a vast number of inventors in a short period of time. Okay, I will keep the link. You can go over it later, just to give you an idea what is Flipgrid or Flip. Okay, here the students, these are the videos of the students dressed up like the inventor that they chose. And as I said, they learned about all these inventors in a very short period of time. It's a very cute and nice activity. Okay. Now, I'll go back to my lesson. Can you all hear me?
Yes, if possible, can you wrap up in 2 minutes?
Yeah, of course. I'm almost done. So I will not be sharing the links anymore. It seems because of the connection problem. Okay, now I'll talk about Google Slides. It's a teaching and learning tool for teachers and students to create, collaborate, and present. So Google Slides is very important and it's very nice. Students and teachers can create dynamic, interactive presentations. Teachers can create fun learning activities that really engage students. And Slides has an easy sharing process that encourages collaborative learning. And here we used Google Slides to make a virtual IS virtual library where students can just click on the link and go and explore all the books that we have by one click on the book cover. They will be ready to read the book. And also we created here Green Eggs and Ham, which is Dr. Seuss's story in their own way by using Google Slides and Google Sites. And of course, we have drag and drop activities that you can use to make your lesson more fun using Google Slides. Jamboard, nowadays, they said that it's going no longer, we cannot use it anymore, but it's going to be, later on, it's going to be for Miro application app, and we will open it with other kinds of apps. But Jamboard is an interactive platform by Google also that looks and feels like a digital whiteboard. It's the ideal platform of a variety of whole class and small group activities. I will not click on the link here because of the connectivity problems. You can click on it later and check how we can use Jamboard to make our lessons really interactive and nice. Okay, and this is at the end the impact of technology in education. Technology prepares the students for a future of change and develops 21st century skills, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. It also facilitates the planning and implementation of a project-based learning approach, PBL, in education. It promotes the learning process, making students really engaged self-learners. It also helps differentiate instructions to meet the diverse needs of all learners within their classroom, and it makes learning more engaging and enjoyable through gamification and such, motivating students to achieve their goals. And at the end, by integrating technological tools and resources, learning becomes more engaging and reflective of real-world collaboration and problem-solving scenarios. And at the end, there's a quote I would like to share it with you. We do not need to teach creativity, but rather inspire its daily practice, by a teacher named Diane Darrow. And the only constant in education is change. The 21st century skills and growth mindset that we always talk about do not only apply to our students. These practices prepare the students, teachers, and everyone for a future of change. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Shukran, Mrs. Niveen, for this very exciting presentation. I think we all learned a lot. I'm not a very technical person, but I learned also from your template what tools we can use, how to find them, and how to adjust them to teaching and learning practices. From the many things you said, you mentioned the importance of your school administration support. to innovative projects. And I think this is a very important point, because teachers should not be lonely wolves, you know, to promote innovation, but they should be part of a team and be supported by their school leaders and administration. Then you mentioned all through your presentation the importance of identifying or focusing on the skills that students can develop. And I just see a comment from Mr. Camille saying, "Excellent job, Niveen." So you can be proud of what you're doing. And you mentioned the fact that you want to connect learners with real life in many ways, you know, so to make them develop as problem solvers, to understand the problems of the real world, and to also act as problem solvers. And of course, you mentioned different tools that you used and activities that these tools make possible, and the advantages of using these tools. I will get back after the third presentation. I will get back to you with a question about how you identified these tools, how you learned about these tools, okay? But not now. We will now invite our third presenter in this session, Mrs. Lara Ajemian, to talk about the usage of new technologies in teaching and providing feedback to children with special needs. We invited also another teacher to talk about teaching children with special needs, children that are dealing with autism spectrum disorder, but unfortunately she could not join. So anyway, I'm very happy we have a presentation about the special needs learners, because we usually tend to think about mainstream classes and mainstream learners, but we have to bear in mind that many learners need support, and Mrs. Lara will tell us how she's doing it. So Mrs. Lara, the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Hope you are doing well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present during today's webinar. My focus today will be about using technologies in teaching and providing feedback to children. And I'll be focusing about children with behavioral challenges, especially. Just to give you like an introduction about myself, I'm Lara. I have studied special education and earned my BA degree in 2019. And I pursued my master's degree, which I recently earned in May 2023. And it was in educational leadership and management. Before 2 years, I moved to the UAE, and I'm now currently working in a British school in the UAE. So based on my experience, I'll be talking about 3 platforms that we use in our school. Some of them will be about supporting students, and the last one will be about providing feedback and supporting teachers' observations. So here are the platforms I'll be discussing: Class Dojo, Learning Ladders, and Blue Sky, which are used in our school. To start with Class Dojo, it's an innovative educational platform. It is used to transform the way teachers, students, and parents interact together. The main purpose is to enhance the engagement of all stakeholders involved in the child's education, which includes the teachers and the parents and the student itself. So I'll be talking about 2 main features used in this platform, which is behavioral management and communication with parents. You can find the link of the Class Dojo application here. So as I was saying, and as we were mentioning previously, managing the behavior of students has become a really challenging thing in our classrooms today, especially after the COVID. We have seen an increase of challenging behavior in the classrooms. Children were mostly spending their times at home, so it was difficult for them to know how to interact with others, how to respect others. So these were the things that we were struggling with after COVID. One of the things we noticed with Class Dojo is that it has a special, let's say, thing for students who can visually see their behavior and how it's going. So providing feedback is one of the important things to manage the behavior of the children in the classroom. On Class Dojo, if you can access it, you will see the name of all of your students mentioned here, and each child will have a specific icon for to represent themselves. So whenever the child is exhibiting a positive behavior, you will be able to give immediate feedback to the child. And the important thing here is that you can choose the specific type of feedback you want to provide to the child. For example, if the child is on task, you can give a reward based on that particular behavior. Or if the child is participating, he can earn points for participating. So it's very specific and it's immediate, which is one of the things we focus in ABA therapy as well. And it's consistent. So you will be used it daily in the classroom with students. They really love it. They really love Class Dojo. They really love earning points. And at the end, they will receive rewards accordingly. Another feature of this platform is that it allows teachers and parents to communicate effectively. As we use WhatsApp, we know that today WhatsApp is really important in our daily lives, but in the school, we know that there are some policies that we cannot give our numbers to the parents. So it's really important to have a platform especially dedicated for parent-teacher communications or interactions. So for example, you will have all the names of the parents mentioned on this platform, and you will be able to chat with the parents and send them maybe daily pictures of activities you are doing in the classroom. So it's really important to keep this interaction with the parents and make them involved in their children's education. The second platform I'll be discussing is Learning Ladders. It's another educational platform used to empower both educators and parents. We use it for different purposes in our school, and I'll be talking about it for curriculum planning, for assessment, and for progress tracking. Another thing that is intended with this platform is family engagement, and we want parents to be aware of their children's progress and achievements, so they can track the students' progress and achievement by using Learning Ladders. So as I was saying, there are three main purposes for using this particular platform. For curriculum planning, educators map out their curriculum, specifying learning objectives, topics, and activities. Progress tracking through data collection and analysis. Because of this application, you can easily track the progress of the students, you can collect data, and I'll be explaining about how you can do this. And family engagement, parents have their own platform that they can use to access the data and to see the progress and attainment of their children. So as a teacher, you'll be able to access the platform. You will be able to set your own objectives and targets, and you can select the assessment window. For each target and objective, you will be able to assess the child. In our school, we use 1 to 6 scale for assessing the students. Each child will have a target at the beginning of the year, and you will be able to track the progress of the child for each objective. Another important thing which parents loved is that they can see actually the evidence of their children's progress. So you can, for example, take a picture of a specific activity or specific, let's say, worksheet or anything you did with the child, which shows the attainment level, and you can upload it in the application. Another important feature is that it has a section called gap analysis, which gives you an overview of where children are not attaining or progressing at the expected level. And then another thing is that there is a part called assessment summary, which gives you a visual overview of the attainment and progress of the children you are assessing. This is for the teachers. For the parents, as I said, there is a separate platform. Parents have portal. They have their own username, their own password. they can log in and they will see the following things when they access this platform: the goals, homework, portfolio, and the reports. So when they click on the reports, they will be able to see the child's attainment level, the achievements, and of course, the evidence of all of these. The third platform I'll be discussing is Blue Sky. This is mainly for teacher observations. So in my role as an inclusion leader, I use it for teacher appraisals as well. This platform specializes in teacher appraisals and performance management. It also has a section about CPD for supporting continuous professional developmental program. And it has a lot of important topics that teachers can have access to, and they can learn a lot of things through Blue Sky. And it facilitates school quality assurance processes. So if I log into Blue Sky, I'll be able to see the observations, the overview statements, the progress summary of the teachers. So for example, if you're a leader or you are going to observe a phase leader, you are going to observe a teacher, you'll be able to create an observation and you will be able to share your observation with the teacher, have a discussion about the observation, the things that need improvement, and together you'll be working towards attaining better teacher practices in the school. So these are the three main platforms, let's say. One more thing I would like to quickly add. In my role as an inclusion leader, I also work with students who are English as a second language learners. It might be obvious to say that Google Translate, it's really important in our work today, especially in our school where we have a lot of English as second language learners. But it really helps support our students in the school, and we are using it actually daily to support students who come with no English at all. And I was actually amazed this year by seeing a lot of different features of the application, because we usually use it, to translate words, but we can actually see that it can translate conversations. You can even take pictures of, let's say, passages in different languages, and it can help you directly translate any passage in any of the languages you want. So these are the platforms we use. There are many others, but I wanted to focus on these platforms. Thank you so much. If you have any
Thank you very much, Shukran, Mrs. Lara.
Thank you.
Again, a very interesting presentation, and I think we again learned a lot this time about the learning platforms that we can use for different purposes. When I read and edited your template, I learned a lot about all these learning platforms and their potential to help teachers, which is great. And you also mentioned that you involve stakeholders like parents, so it's not just about learners, but also other stakeholders, and the importance of using such platforms, such tools, also to improve the teachers' performances, their professional capacities, and their professional development. So the issue of language, again, is always, of course, crucial. And you mentioned how to use Google Translate and how important it is to facilitate learning for students who have maybe not the language proficiency needed. And you also mentioned the importance of the feedback, of giving feedback to students and also parents with regard to the learning process, to problems, but also achievements. And I think personally, this is one of the key to success, to give timely feedback and to give very relevant feedback. So thank you very much again. And we received many comments that I will share with our three first panelists. So the participants in this session, who are 105 now, they appreciated very much your presentations and the topics that you selected and the way you work. And on behalf of our participants, I would like to ask you 3 questions, and then feel free to think of a very quick response, maybe 1 or 2 minutes each of you. So, of course, I think we are all interested in how you learned about these tools. You know, how did you get this information about the existing tools and facilities? So what was your source of information? And then the second question is how you learned, how you became a master or an expert in using these tools. And third question, how did you collaborate with others? I mean, give us more details about, for instance, in the case of the Arab Emirates, how different actors within the schools, they got together and started working toward a common project. So each of you, please, maybe 1 or 2 minutes as a quick reflection after this very interesting first session. Who would like to start?
I can start.
Yes, Miss Lara.
Okay, so first of all, how we knew about this platform after COVID, with all the challenges, the school came up with these tools, the most effective tools that facilitate communication, and the use of it is really easy in the school setting. So it was a decision taken by the management level, let's say, and it was communicated with the teacher through CPDs, professional developmental programs. We were trained to use these tools in the school so that it's consistent across all the school. Another thing we did is also we did workshops with parents to introduce them to these platforms and to teach them how we use these platforms with for daily communications and interactions with the teachers. Any other questions I missed?
No, thank you very much. So you mentioned 2 important things. I think the issue of a consistent approach, you know, to be consistent about how you use these new technologies and how everybody uses the new technologies. And the second, to make them part of your daily life. So you don't use new technologies only once and then and on an ad hoc basis, but they become part of your daily school life. And I think that's the way people learn, you know, and get motivated to use them and to overcome this fear that many people mentioned for new technologies. So thank you very much again. Then I would invite also Mrs. Niween maybe to say a final word for this session.
Yes, I want to add that our school shared with us several options of tools that help us meet our school mission and vision. Teachers collaborated, researched, and shared ideas among each other too. And also our school created a professional development Google Classroom for us to access at our own pace and self-learn, as we want to encourage our students to do so too, to become self-learners. And we attended PD workshops in school and online. As I said earlier, the school directors and principal guided us, listened to our concerns, requests, and provided us with both material and emotional support.
Thank you very much. Again, some very important points. I maybe mentioned 2 of them. The very crucial idea about linking the usage of new technologies to the vision and mission of the schools or of an education system. So we have to choose these technologies, but according to a certain vision, a certain purpose, so that they fulfill their scope in the most relevant manner. And then you also mentioned the issue of self-learning, because we can learn in many ways, but I think in the case of new technologies, self-learning and directed learning, as you said, and support, including emotional support, plays an important role. So shukran. And then last but not least, our colleagues from the United Emirates, if they want to make a final statement for this session. Mrs. Khulud and Mrs. Asma, if you are still with us. Yes.
نعم نعم
نعم.
طبعا نشكركم على إتاحة الفرصة. أهلا. نشكركم على إتاحة الفرصة العظيمة للمشاركة وإبراز يعني هذه المشاريع طبعا التي نعتبرها أمانة أن نقدمها إلى الجميع حتى يمكنه الاستفادة منها. نحن فخورين بهذه المشاركة، بالإضافة إلى فخورين بالبنية التحتية للتعلم الذكي التي بدأت في عام 2012 وامتدت إلى عام 2018 قبل الجائحة، مما سهل علينا التعامل مع الجائحة بشكل سهل وسلس وسريع، وتحسين جودة التعليم وتوظيف التكنولوجيا وإفادة طلابنا للوصول إلى أعلى المستويات. نشكركم، وطبعا نتمنى المشاركة دائما معكم في جولات أخرى إن شاء الله وفي فعاليات أخرى، ونأمل إن شاء الله أن نكون قدمنا فائدة للجميع في هذا الإطار. شكرا. شكرا لكم.
Yes, for sure it was useful.
Thank you.
Shukran again. And you mentioned among other two, I think, again, crucial issues that we have to bear in mind. One is about the infrastructure, because we can do a lot of things with these new technologies, but if we don't have the appropriate infrastructure, we are in trouble. And you also mentioned the importance of long-term strategies, because it's not just for 1 year or for 1 month or for one lesson, but you, with your example in the United Emirates, you show us the importance of a long-term strategy and how then this long-term strategy can help us face smoothly different new challenges. So with this being said, shukran, big applause to all of you. And I'm passing the floor to my colleague, to Dr. Napani, Muna Napani, who's now taking on the role of facilitator for the second part of our webinar. Dr. Muna.
Thank you, Dr. Dakmara. We're going to start this next session with Dr. Muhammad Fuad Abdelazim. I will shift to Arabic now. دكتور محمد فؤاد، بحب أنا تعرف شوي عن نفسك وتبلش ب أبرار بوك. تفضل.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. شكرا دكتورة منى على الدعم والمساندة بشكل مستمر. شكرا لليونسكو وشكرا لمؤسسة الفكر العربي. في البداية خلوني أضيف أن الممارسة بدأت ممارسة أبرار بوك بدأت من قبل أزمة كورونا، بدأت سنة 2018، وكان الدافع من الممارسة هو تحقيق التعلم الشامل والتعلم الجيد للطلاب، وفرصة لاستخدام التكنولوجيا والاستفادة من التطور التكنولوجي الهائل وقدرة الطلاب على استخدام التكنولوجيا لتغيير البيئة التعليمية إلى بيئة جاذبة وبيئة نشطة. اسمحوا لي أن أنا أستعرض معكم الممارسة. طبعا الهدف من الممارسة هو التعلم الجيد من أجل تحقيق الهدف الرابع من أهداف التنمية المستدامة باستخدام التكنولوجيا. التكنولوجيا هنا المقصود بها ممكن نستخدمها من خلال موقع أو من خلال كل الأجهزة مع اختلاف أنظمة التشغيل. طبعا هتكون مهمة أبرار بوك هنا هي تفعيل التعلم النشط ومساعدة المعلمين والوالدين لمتابعة أداء المتعلمين داخل المدرسة وفي المنزل. اسمحوا لي في فيديو تعريفي ممكن يساعدنا في فهم الفكرة. اسمحوا لي ان انا اعرضه.
يعني ايه افضل؟ كلنا بنسمع ونسيب على مشاهير السلميه لكن طبيعتنا اليوم هي اللي مشاهيرهم. عمرك بسمع عن طالب بسيط مدرسه طيب قررت هو يجب شجعته على الالتزام. طيب بلاش خد نعرف يعني ايه التنميه والتعليم، التربيه والتعليم. يعني ابرار يعني اربع طالب معلم مدير مدرسه. المناهج الجديده بتقول ما اسمعه انسان وما اراه اتذكره وما اعمله بيدي افعل. يعني التعلم نشط، يعني الطالب هو محور عمليه التعلم، يختار مصادر التعلم، يبحث عن المعلومه، يكتشف الحقائق، يفسرها، ينشرها على صفحته في كتاب الابرار، ويناقشها مع المعلم في الصف، ويفيد بيها غيره وياخد عليها لايكات. بس مش عشان يكون فينيشيستا مشهور، لا، عشان يكون من الابرار. وعشان يفعل التعامل النشط لازم يكون في متابعه من المعلم، والمتابعه طبعا صعبه جدا في فصل فيه 30 و40 و60 طالب. ما تستغربش، في دول فيها اكثر. استغل التقدير ووقت التطبيق. التطبيق بيستخدم آلية هتساعدك انك تتابع مهما كان العدد وفي وقت غير مسموح. ومش كده بس، ده هيقدم لك تقارير ومتابعه بصور ملفات اكسل عن الطالب والمجموعه والصف، عن الاسابيع اللي اتحددها، وعن البنود اللي مختارها، ويعمل لك مقارنات بين الطلاب والمجموعات والصفوف. ده غير مميزات كتير تقدر تشوفها على الموقع www.tabradgroup.com. طبعا دلوقتي عايز تعرف يعني ايه تكوين برنامج مستدامه التربيه والتعليم، يعني ايه التعلم في خلال. وعلشان ده يتحقق لازم يتم من خلال 3 اطلاع: الطلاب، المعلمين، اولياء الامور، في العمليه التعليميه والتطور. سبب ضعف او اجهاد او حتى انسان الرفض من اطلاع المستقبل. تطبيق ابواب قد ما يتحل، لان عن طريقه لاول مره هتقوم بتسجيل حساب مهتم والتطبيق ممكن يمنزل قبل المدرسه. وطالما انت كده جاي خلال الاعداد هتعرف ملاك ومعدات الصحه والرياضه وتنظيم الوقت والروايات. مش قلت لك ابراج بوك حل هذا؟ ابراج بوك نجح في ربط الحسابات الاربعه بتجارب التواصل الذاتي. واخيرا عشان يكون في تربيه وتعليم وتنميه مستدامه، ولان التعليم مسؤوليه الجميع، قررنا يكون لنا شركاء من المجتمع، وكمان قررنا مجاليه التطبيق. www.abrarbook.com. التربيه والتعليم مسؤوليه الجميع.
شكرا على المشاهدة.
يعني ايه ابراج؟
ننتقل في الجزء الثاني من الشرح لأهمية ممارسة أبرار بوك، وهي لأهمية ممارسة أبرار بوك بتتضح من خلال الحلول اللي بتقدمها الممارسة بالنسبة للمتعلمين. أول شيء هو جعل المتعلم محور العملية التعليمية بتفعيل التعلم النشط. طبعا استراتيجيات التعلم النشط كتيرة: الحوار والمناقشة، التعلم التعاوني، التعلم الجماعي، كل ده كانوا الطلاب مفتقدينه، والتكنولوجيا سهلت الاستفادة من الوصول إلى تفعيل التعلم النشط. الطالب بكل سهولة يقدر ان هو يوصله موضوع من خلال عرضه في صفحه الفهرس عنده في الابلكيشن، ويستطيع انه ينشر عليه، يهتم بالبحث، بينمي قدرته على البحث والابتكار، وينشر منشورات التعليميه. ايضا بناء علاقات ايجابيه مع المتعلمين لسهوله التواصل. نقدر ان احنا نتواصل مع الطلاب، يعني انا كنت بتواصل مع طلابي في المدرسه على كل موضوع دراسي بيتم اضافته في الابلكيشن، بيتم مناقشه عليه. تحفيز النشاط الذاتي بتجديد فرصه تحسين المستوى لجميع المتعلمين اسبوعيا. انا هنا بجدد فرصه كل الطلاب ان هم يحسنوا مستواهم في بدايه كل اسبوع. الابلكيشن بيعتبر ان الطلاب كلهم متفوقين، بيمنحهم 5 نجوم بتمثل بنود المتابعه، مهمتهم الحفاظ عليها لنهايه الاسبوع. تفعيل العمل الجماعي باضافه تقييم للمجموعات المتنافسه اسبوعيا. اكساب المتعلمين مهارات البحث والتفكير والنقد. تنويع مصادر التعلم، وتشجيع المتعلمين على ممارسة الهوايات. وهنا التطبيق بيهتم جدا بميول الطلاب وهواياتهم، وبيخصص لهم في صفحات الشخصية مكان لنشر هواياتهم. أيضا أهمية أبرار بوك بتتضح من خلال الحلول اللي بيقدمها المعلمين، وهتكون عبارة عن توفير وقت وجهد المعلمين بإعداد تقارير المتابعة. التطبيق ممكن يطلع تقرير متابعه للطالب او للمجموعات داخل الصف، ويعمل مقارنه ما بينهم زي ما حضراتكم شفتوا في الفيديو، او ان هو يعمل مقارنه كمان بين اداء الصفوف لكل معلم. سهوله التواصل مع المتعلمين وارسال الارشادات مع الحفاظ على الخصوصيه. اقدر ان انا ارسل النصيحه او الارشاد او التوجيه بشكل شخصي جدا، وده احتراما لخصوصيه الطالب، والطالب كمان بيقدر ذلك. نجاح الربط بين تقييم المعلم وتقييم الوالدين للحصول على افضل تجربه تعليميه وتربويه. الوالدين او اولياء الامور يقدروا ان هم يتابعوا الطلاب او المتعلمين داخل المنزل. امكانيه تكوين ملفات الكترونيه سنويا للمتعلمين، وده شيء احنا بنفتقده، والتكنولوجيا ممكن توفره لنا. ان مع تغيير المعلمين للطلاب كل سنه، المعلم ممكن يشوف الطالب لاول مره ما يعرفش نقاط القوه او نقاط الضعف للطالب، بينما لما يكون في ملف الكتروني فيه جوانب القوه وجوانب الضعف لكل طالب او لكل متعلم، ده هيسهل التعامل مع الطالب ويعرف المعلم الفروق الفرديه كمان ما بينهم، ساعده ان هو يتعامل معها. اهميه ممارسه ابرار بوك بالنسبه للوالدين: تمكين المتابعه والتقييم داخل المنزل، احترام الاخرين، الهوايات والصحه واللياقه، وتنظيم الوقت والتعليم. وهنا بيقدر ولي الامر ان هو يدخل عن تفعيل كل المعلمين اللي بيتابعوا ابنه، يقدر بكل سهوله ان هو يشوف تقييم بشكل اسبوعي، ويشارك ولي الامر يشارك في عمليه التقويم. الاطلاع اسبوعيا على تقارير متابعه المعلمين للمشاركه في تقويم الاداء بشكل مستمر، والتواصل مع المعلمين في اي وقت وبسهوله جدا. يقدر اولياء الامور يتواصلوا مع المعلمين داخل التطبيق، يقدر يضيف المعلم ويقدر يتواصل معاه في اي وقت. سهوله متابعه الانشطه والفعاليات المدرسيه من خلال متابعه حساب المدرسه. في حساب للمدرسه يقدر مدير المدرسه يفعله، بيعرض فيه الانجازات والانشطه والفعاليات للمدرسه، وولي الامر هنا بيكون على اطلاع دائم بكل الانشطه المدرسيه. طبعا التطبيق تم تجربته في مدرستي في الكويت من اول 2018 وتحت اشراف مدير المدرسه في منطقه الاحمدي التعليميه في دوله الكويت، وتم اقامه ورشه عمل سنه 2019 في فبراير، ودي روابط، وفي رابط لشرح استخدام التطبيق، شرح المتابعه، شرح النشر، شرح كل شيء داخل التطبيق. بس نظرا لضيق الوقت المتاح لنا، فاحنا حاطين روابط تقدروا بكل سهوله ان انتم تدخلوا على قناه اليوتيوب وتشوفوا الشرح. بالنسبه للتاثير الايجابي للممارسه اللي انا لاحظته، هو تفعيل دور المتعلم كمحور للعمليه التعليميه، تفعيل العمل التعاوني للمتعلمين داخل المجموعات المتنافسه وحرصهم على التميز اسبوعيا، زياده المشاركات التعليميه لكل المتعلمين، التقارير او المنشورات. في التعليم التقليدي كان الطالب يمكن بيطالب بمشروع او مشروعين في خلال الميني تيرم او الترم، انما في ممارسه ابرار بوك كل طالب يمكن كان نشر او عنده مشاركات تعدت ال 30 مشاركه. حرص المتعلمين على معرفه تقييمهم الاسبوعي ورغبتهم في تقويم الاداء باستمرار، وده كان شيء بيلاحظ ان المتعلمين كان دايما حريصين على معرفه تقييمهم، وكان في تنافس ما بينهم، ورغبه اولياء الامور في تعميم التجربه على كل المواد التعليميه. ده باختصار شرح الممارسه. شكرا دكتوره منى.
شكرا دكتور محمد فؤاد عبد العظيم، ممتع جدا. هلخص بسرعة باللغة العربية. أبرار بوك يساعد على تحقيق التعلم الجيد الشامل للطلاب وتغيير البيئة التعلمية إلى بيئة جاذبة وتحقيق SDG 4 اللي هو الهدف الرابع للتنمية المستدامة اللي هو التربية. يساعد المعلم والأهل لمتابعة التعلم الذي يحدث. الطالب هو المحور، تعلم نشط، وهو تطبيق مجاني محبب جدا للتلامذة. يعطي الحلول أيضا للمتعلمين. هناك تركيز على الحوار، التعلم التعاوني، البحث من قبل التلميذ، ونشر ما يجد ليس فقط من معلومات بل أيضا من أنشطة. هناك أيضا تحفيز للنشاط الذاتي ومصادر عديدة للتعلم. يوجد أيضا تقرير متابعة للتلميذ يطلع عليه الأهل، ويحفظ إلكترونيا للمعلمين القادمين. هناك إرسال تغذية راجعة وإرشاد خاصة للطالب. شو كمان، إشراك الأهل بتقويم أولادهم والتواصل مع المعلمين بسهولة، ويوجد حساب أيضا للمدرسة فيه معلومات عن ما يجري من أنشطة إلى آخره. شكرا جزيلا. في أسئلة؟ خلي الأسئلة للأخير، خليك معنا دكتور محمد. السيدة هدى علي الحسني، هل أنت جاهزة؟
مرحبا وعليكم السلام. نعم جاهزة إن شاء الله.
أهلا، تفضلي.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. واضح الصوت؟
نعم.
طيب، إذن سعيدة جدا بمشاركتكم هذا الابتكار أو هذا التطبيق الهاتفي الذي كان بعنوان أو يعني يحمل اسم دكتور ساينس، وهو تطبيق هاتفي تعليمي مبتكر قائم على منحى التلعيب الجيمفيكيشن. لن أتطرق إلى الملخص العام للمشروع فقط حتى لا يعني أطيل، ولا حتى لمنح التلعيب. طبعا منح التلعيب هو منحى رائد حاليا وعالميا، وأعتقد الأغلب قد يكون لديه فكرة عن هذا المنحى، وهو باختصار استخدام عناصر اللعب التي توجد في الألعاب كالتحديات والمراحل ولوحة الإنجاز ومتجر النقاط والأوسمة وغيرها، تستخدم في مجالات ليس لها علاقة باللعب كالسياحة والتعليم والصحة والطب وريادة الأعمال ومجالات أخرى. بالنسبة إلى هذا التطبيق، طبعا هو تطبيق هاتفي قائم أيضا على منحى التلعيب كما ذكرت. هذه هي الواجهة الرئيسية. طبعا هذا المنحى أو هذا التطبيق الهاتفي هو التطبيق الأول الذي بني على منحى التلعيب، والذي بعد ذلك قمنا أيضا بتصميم تطبيقات هاتفية أخرى أكثر تطورا. يعني هذا التطبيق ركز على صفين، هما الصف الرابع الأساسي والصف الثامن الأساسي بسلطنة عمان. لماذا ركزنا على هذين الصفين؟ لأنهما الصفين الذين يعني يدخلان في اختبارات تيمز، فأردنا أن يكون ذلك أو هذا التطبيق هو مرجع للاستزادة والتدريب في يعني تحديات واختبارات تيمز. تكون التطبيق من 3 أقسام: أنا أستكشف، وأنا عبقري، وأنا أعرف. بالنسبة للقسم الأول وهو أنا، نوع التلعيب الهيكلي، بحيث أن يعني نضع سؤال كما هو يعني بشكل مباشر، ونستخدم عناصر التلعيب كالأوسمة والنقاط والتحديات ولوحة الشرف وقضيب التقدم ما إلى ذلك. فيعني هذا إذن هو القسم الأول من التطبيق. القسم الثاني من التطبيق هو ركز على تلعيب المحتوى، وهو عبارة عن لعبة يكون فيها يعني شخصية معينة، يقوم الطالب بدخول هذه المغامرة مع تحديات مختلفة، ويجد أسئلة يجيب على هذه الأسئلة ثم يكمل المغامرة. القسم طبعا ركزنا على أن لا تكون الواجهات ثابتة، ولكن تكون هناك تغير وتطور في الواجهات الخاصة باللعب، وكذلك التحديات والأعداء الذين يواجههم في الطالب أثناء اللعب. بالنسبة للقسم الثالث هو أنا أستكشف، يعني هو طبعا نحن بنيناه على نظرية معينة، وعلى كل حال هذا التطبيق هو كان يعني ضمن دراسة دكتوراه، ففيها الكثير من العمق. بالنسبة إلى هذا القسم أنا أستكشف، طبعا تكون من مجموعة من الأقسام. أولها طبعا ماذا تتوقع؟ نبدأ في هذا القسم. أود في البداية أن أقول بأن هذا القسم يركز على الاستقصاءات العلمية وربط الاستقصاء العلمي بالتعلم عن طريق الموبايل. فركز على مجموعة من المراحل. المرحلة الأولى نسأل الطالب ماذا تتوقع حول هذه التجربة، ونتعرف على يعني المعرفة السابقة لديه والتصورات البديلة، ثم يقوم بتنفيذ التجربة على عدة مراحل. يقوم بقراءة المرحلة ويطبقها في الصف مع المعلم أو وأود أن أقول أيضا بأنه خلال تنفيذ التجربة هناك سلسلة من التقويم التكويني والتقويم المستمر التي تلي تنفيذ التجربة وتقيس مدى فهم الطالب للتجربة العلمية. بعد ذلك هناك أيضا قسم الباحث الصغير، وفي هذا القسم نقوم بطرح الأسئلة ذات القدرات العليا والتي تشجع الطالب على التعلم الذاتي، فيعني ثم يحفظ الإجابة ويعني يدخلها ويحفظها. وأخيرا في نهاية هذا القسم يكون هناك قسم ماذا تعلمت، وهو يلخص يعني كل ما تعلمه الطالب في هذا الاستقصاء. بعدها يضغط على انتهت المرحلة، مجرد أنه يحفظ هذا العمل يحصل على 5 نقاط. هناك أقسام أخرى أيضا، هناك لوحة الشرف والتي كانت طبعا لها دور كبير في حماس الطلبة ويعني استثارة يعني واندماجهم واستثارتهم لإكمال التعلم. هناك أيضا لوحة الأوسمة، وهذه كلها ميكانيزمات تلعيب. هناك الملف الشخصي الذي تصل فيه رسائل الطالب، وهناك أيضا متجر النقاط الذي يستطيع فيه الطالب شراء بطاقات معينة مقابل النقاط التي حصل عليها. أود أن أقول أيضا أن هذه البطاقات يعني مجرد نعطيها للمعلمة فإن تكون هناك هدايا خاصة للطالب. من المهم جدا أن أذكر هذه التجربة، وهي استمرار الطالب أو الطالبة في تنفيذ الاستقصاءات خلال فترة الحظر في خلال جائحة كورونا. ورغم عدم توفر الأدوات بسبب الحظر وغلق المحلات وما إلى ذلك، إلا أن الطلبة كانوا مستمرين في يعني تنفيذ الاستقصاءات في المنزل. وأيضا هناك اندماج في فترة تطبيق لهذا التطبيق الهاتفي، قمنا بتجريبه على طلبة الصف الرابع في سلطنة عمان. وأيضا شارك في التطبيق في الكثير من المهرجانات مدى كبير جدا. أيضا أود أن أذكر بأن هذا ليس هو التطبيق الوحيد، هناك أيضا تطبيقات اثنين آخرين. طبعا هناك حقق صدى كبير جدا سواء في وسائل التواصل الاجتماعي أو في الإعلام العماني، سواء كان في التلفزيون أو الإذاعة أو حتى في الجرائد المحلية. أما بالنسبة للإنجازات خلال عام واحد تقريبا عام ونصف، فهو طبعا من ضمن هذه التطبيقات التي بنيت على منحى التلعيب والتي قمنا بتصميمها الترشح لمختبر جدران متساقطة على مستوى سلطنة عمان بين 95 مترشح. أيضا الفوز بجائزة الشيخ فيصل بن قاسم البحث التربوي لدولة قطر، والفوز بجائزة جازان التفوق والإبداع من المملكة العربية السعودية، ونشر 4 أوراق بحثية في أهم مجلات أكاديمية، وحصول على الملكية الفكرية 3 تطبيقات هاتفية قائمة على منحى التلعيب، والمشاركة في المهرجانات العلمية وغيرها طبعا كثير، ولكن نحاول أن نختصر قدر المستطاع. شكرا لحسن استماعكم، وأرجو أن لا أكون قد أطلت.
شكرا جزيلا دكتورة، عن جد شيء ممتع جدا. سألخص. هو تطبيق، استعمل تطبيق هاتفي دكتور ساينس الذي يتبع منحى التلعيب، وإذا فهمت صح هو مبني على دراسة دكتوراه صمم بناء عليها، وهو منحى رائد في الجيميفيكيشن، نال العديد من الأنشطة والأوسمة، ونال صدى كبير جدا في عمان على وسائل التواصل. يستعمل في جميع المجالات. التطبيق الأول من نوعه عندما صمم. ثم تلته تطبيقات هاتفية بعدها. اخترتم أن تبدأوا بالصف الرابع والثامن باستعمال هذا التطبيق، ولديه 3 أقسام: أنا أستكشف، أنا عبقري، أنا أتوقع. وهناك أيضا مهارة البحث التي يشجعها هذا التطبيق، وهو عبارة عن لعبة فيها شخصية معينة ينتحلها الطالب ويبدأ المغامرة ويجيب عن أسئلة محددة يأخذ عليها نقاط يحصل عليها على جوائز فيما بعد. وهناك طبعا التقويم التكويني لمعرفة مراحل التي أنجزها الطالب، ويوجد هدايا أيضا. أرجو أن أكون قد غطيت كل شيء. تحبي تزيدي شيء دكتورة هدى؟
شكرا دكتورة منى، أغطيت كل شيء. بارك الله فيك.
أوكي، سنفتح المجال للأسئلة فيما بعد. السيدة هياء ناصر الصبيح، تفضلي قدمي نفسك وموضوعك.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أولا أشكر جميع القائمين على الندوة، بارك الله في الجهود ونفع بها. أنا هيا ناصر الصبيح، ماجستير مناهج وطرق تدريس رياضيات، ومرشحة دكتوراه في تعليم الرياضيات، حاصل على الرخصة المهنية برتبة معلم خبير في المملكة العربية السعودية بالرياض، تابعة لمكتب تعليم الدرعية الثانوية 48 للبنات. الممارسة باختصار بدأت قبل أزمة كورونا وأثناءها وبعدها أيضا. تم تنفيذ الممارسة في المدرسة ضمن التعليم العام في سياق مادة الرياضيات للصف 11 في منظمة حكومية. أول شيء قمت بتدريب الطالبات على برنامج جيو جبرا والتعريف بالبرنامج واستخداماته، واستخدام البرنامج مع الطالبات لشرح الدروس منذ التحقنا بالمرحلة الثانوية في العام الماضي لكي تألفها الطالبات. في الصف الثاني ثانوي تم إعطائهم ورقة عمل تحوي مهمة مفتوحة النهاية، وطلب حل المهمة الرياضية باستخدام البرنامج التفاعلي جيو جبرا أو غيره من البرامج. بالنسبة لأهمية الممارسة، نعلم أن التقنية لها دور كبير في دعم البراعة الرياضية إذا ما تم استخدامها استخدام صحيح ولتحقيق أهداف محددة وليس لمجرد الاستخدام فقط. فهي ليست هدف وإنما أداة تعمل على تنمية خيوط البراعة الرياضية الخمسة، وهي أهم ناتج من نواتج تعلم الرياضيات في القرن ال21. كما ترون لن أتعمق في مجال الرياضيات، لكن البراعة الرياضية كما ترون في الصورة هي عبارة عن خيوط متشابكة أو تسمى مجدولة من الفهم والطلاقة الإجرائية والكفاءة وحل المسألة والاستدلال والاتجاهات نحو الرياضيات. فالبرنامج أو المهمة اللي أعطيتها الطالبات دعمت الاستيعاب المفاهيمي، لأن التمثيلات المختلفة اللي الطالبة ترى دالة بتمثيلات مختلفة جبرية وهندسية، فهذا يدعم ويعمق الفهم. أيضا سهولة تكرار الرسمة باستخدام البرنامج يدعم الطلاقة الإجرائية للطالبات. يتيح البرنامج معالجة الأخطاء عند رسم الدوال يدويا، وذلك بعد التدريب المتكرر والسهل والسريع والمتنوع لدوال مختلفة باستخدام البرنامج. مجرد تغيير رقم أو تغيير شيء في الدالة يتغير شكل الدالة تماما، فهذا يوفر وقت وجهد كبير على المعلمة والطالبة. أيضا أن الطالبة ترى الدالة مرسومة وتستطيع تحليلها وتحصل على خصائصها بسهولة، هذا من شأنه أن يعزز الكفاءة الاستراتيجية والتمكن من حل المسألة لدى الطالبات. أما بالنسبة للاستدلال التكيفي أو الإثبات أو البرهان كما نسميه بشكل عام، فإن اختيار مهمة مفتوحة النهاية وإجاباتها ليست محددة وليست موحدة لكل الطالبات. الطالبة تختار دالة معينة بنفسها وترسمها وتكتب عن خصائصها، هذا يجعلها قادرة على التفكير منطقيا في العلاقات بين الأفكار والمواقف. أيضا تعمل التقنية على دعم الرغبة المنتجة وهي الاتجاهات نحو الرياضيات، حيث أن الطالبة تتمكن من رؤية المعنى في الرياضيات، يعني تجد الدالة مرسومة أمامها وبكل سهولة تتحسن اتجاهاتها نحو الرياضيات ونحو هويتها الرياضية هي أيضا. كمان فتح المجال لاختيار برنامج آخر غير برنامج الجيوجبرا، أي برنامج متمكنة منه الطالبة إن رغبت، يشعرها بالأريحية والمرونة أثناء العمل، وهذا يعني يدعم النظرية الإنسانية. الممارسة الحالية أيضا لها أهمية كبرى حيث أنها عالجت مشكلة العزلة بين بعض الطالبات وخاصة بعد جائحة كورونا. المهمة سهلة وقصيرة ولا تحتاج أن مثلا 4 أو 5 طالبات أو 3 طالبات يشاركون فيها، بإمكان طالبة واحدة إيجادها، لكني طلبت العمل في مجموعات لتنمية روح العمل الجماعي والتعلم من الأقران والقضاء على العزلة. كانت يعني فعلا مشكلة نواجهها بعد الجائحة، لكن الآن الحمد لله يعني تم التنفيذ في سياق مقرر الرياضيات كما ذكرت للصف ال11. كان المحتوى التعليمي يركز على الدوال وخصائصها وتمثيلها البياني. بعد أن يتقن الطالبات رسم الدوال يدويا على شبكة تربيع، ننتقل للتمثيل باستخدام البرامج التفاعلية للتطرق لأكبر عدد من المسائل واختصار الجهد والوقت والتعرف على تمثيلات غريبة وجديدة، يعني قد يصعب على الطالبة رسمها يدويا، قد يصعب عليها تخيلها أيضا. فمجرد تغيير رقم يحدث للدالة إزاحة لليمين لليسار للأعلى للأسفل، دوران توسع تضييق. الفصل الذي أجرينا فيه الممارسة أو الوحدة مهمة جدا، حيث توجد له تطبيقات في المقرر نفسه يعني في الصف ال11، وسيعاد الفصل في السنة القادمة في الصف ال12 بتوسع أكبر، وله تطبيقات في المقررات الأخرى في الفيزياء وغيرها وفي الواقع، لذا تم التركيز عليه والتأكد من تحقق الفهم لدى الطالبات. الممارسة، ما هي الممارسة بالضبط؟ هي كانت عبارة عن التمثيل البياني للدوال. يطلب من الطالبة اختيار دالة من الدوال التي تمت دراستها، إما خطية، دالة درجة ثانية، متعددة، درجية، تختار أي دالة، ثم تجيب عن بعض الأسئلة من خلال التمثيل البياني أمامها. يمكن عملها في المنزل بواسطة تطبيق في الجوال، بجهاز الكمبيوتر في المنزل، وهذه الأسئلة اللي طلبتها منهم. دوري كمعلمة تعرف على الحاجات التعليمية، تدريب على برنامج تفاعلي، تحديد الهدف، بناء المهمة، تقديم المحتوى المعرفي للطالبات، تحديد المنهجية وأسلوب العمل في الممارسة، تحديد التقنيات المستخدمة، تحديد أساليب التقويم وأدوار المتعلمين. أما الطالبة فكان دورهم تعيين أعضاء الفريق، تعيين قائد للفريق وتوزيع الأعمال، تسمية المشروع بمسمى رائع، التسليم في الوقت المحدد، رفع العمل على منصة مدرستي. المنصة طبعا هذه منصة حكومية لجميع مدارس الرياض، جميع مدارس المملكة العربية السعودية، آسفة. استخدمت البرنامج حينما كان التعلم عن بعد في أزمة كورونا، ورابطه موجود في الأسفل. البرنامج فعلا مميز ويخدم مادة الرياضيات بشكل كبير، يحتوي على حاسبة بيانية وهي التي استخدمتها طالباتي في المهمة، يحتوي على العديد من الموارد المجانية يشارك بها المختصون في تعليم الرياضيات والمعلمون لجميع فروع الرياضيات وليس للدوال فقط. يوجد فصول افتراضية مثل هذه، يعني هذه كانت أيام الأزمة، كنت أعطي الرابط الموجود هنا للطالبات ويدخلون للفصل الافتراضي. هنا كل طالبة تعمل المهام المطلوبة منها وأراهم جميعا وأصحح لهم. أتوقع أنها أفضل مما كان لو في الفصل الحقيقي. يعني هذا كان درس الانعكاس حول محور، وهذا درس آخر كان الدوران. كل طالبة ترسم شكل وتعمل دوران وتعرف النتيجة. طبعا هذا هو منهجهم أو مقررهم في الصف الثاني ثانوي. الأثر الإيجابي، أنا لاحظت تحسن الاستيعاب والفهم العميق للطالبات عندما انتقلوا إلي هذه السنة في الصف الثالث، واسترجاع المعلومة بسرعة. عند الحوار والمناقشة وطرح الأسئلة ألاحظ أيديهم تتحرك في الهواء وترسم الدالة، أو أنهم يشبهونها بحرف V أو حرف U أو غيرها. ظهور مشاعر الرضا والسعادة عند إنجاز المشروع، وحتى عرضوا علي بعض المقترحات لتوسيع المشروع. تنمية مهارات القرن ال21 للحياة والعمل، التواصل، العمل الجماعي، التقييم الذاتي، استخدام التقنية وغيرها. التوسع في استخدام الممارسة، فعندي هنا نماذج من طالبات توسع في استخدام الممارسة. مثلا هذه طالبة كان مشروعها، ما أدري لماذا لا المفروض أن أيوه هذا هو تصميم نماذج ثنائية وثلاثية الأبعاد. فيعني إحنا لما نعطي الطلاب المفاتيح والأدوات هم يبدعون أكثر. أنا لم أدرسهم ذلك، هم تعلموا بأنفسهم واستطاعوا أنهم يوجدون دوال مثل هذا. أيضا هذه الدالة، استخدام دالة شوف الدالة إكس أس 3/2 زائد ساين. فجميل جدا أن الطالبة أبدعت. أنا أعطيتهم دوال بسيطة جدا وهم أبدعوا في الدوال. هذا مشروع طالبة أخرى تكاملي بين الرياضيات وعلم الأحياء. يعني هذا يدل على أنها استوعبت الدوال بصورة كبيرة واستطاعت ربطها بمقرر آخر. كان مشروعها مسمى إبداعي، كان مشروع دالة الدماغ بين مادتي الرياضيات والأحياء. طبعا هنا أعمال بعض الطالبات، المهام اللي أعطيتها للطالبات إذا تستطيعون تصويرها. وهذا هو برنامج الجيوجبرا، وشكرا على استماعكم.
شكرا لك دكتورة هياء، شيء ممتع جدا. سأحاول التلخيص بالقدر القليل، المعرفة القليلة عن الرياضيات. قبل، أثناء وبعد الجائحة هذه الممارسة استعملت في صف 11 رياضيات. قامت على التدريب الطالبات على جيوجبرا، ثم إعطائهن ورقة عمل فيها مهمة رياضية كي تحل على جيوجبرا. وهذا التطبيق يخدم خيوط البراعة الخمسة لتعليم الرياضيات، ومنها استيعاب المفاهيم، سهولة تنفيذ الرسمة، ومما يوفر جهد كبير على المعلم والتلميذ. المهمة هي مفتوحة فتعطي مجال للتوسع عند الطالب. شو كمان، حلت مشكلة العزلة للطالبات أثناء كوفيد وشجعت العمل الجماعي. سهلت على الطالبات التمثيل البياني والتحليل. دور المعلم كان تحديد الحاجات ثم تدريب الطالبات على البرنامج التفاعلي. هي منصة مجانية متاحة لجميع المدارس الرسمية، مدارس الدولة في المملكة العربية السعودية. الأثر الإيجابي على الطالبات كان هو التعلم الذاتي والخلاق. شكرا. المجال مفتوح للأسئلة بعد تقديم السيد محمود الحمود، وبعدين في عنا وقت للأسئلة والإجابة. تفضل سيد محمد حمود، عرف عن نفسك وعن موضوعك. سيد محمد، هل تسمعني؟ سيد محمد حمود، هل تسمعني؟ نحن ننتظر، ولكن إذا كان لديكم أسئلة للسيدة هياء. بإمكانكم أن تبدأوا الآن. هل لدينا أي أسئلة للسيدة هياء؟ لا. هل من أسئلة للسيدة الدكتورة هدى علي الحسنية؟ لا. هل لديكم أي أسئلة للدكتور محمد فؤاد عبد العظيم؟ لا. ووضوح هذا شيء جيد جدا، وضوح شامل. سأنتظر قليلا حتى يجيب السيد محمود الحمود. هو كان معنا منذ قليل، كنت أراه على الشاشة ولكن الآن لست أراه.
دكتورة منى لدي تعليق.
تفضلي.
برنامج الجبرة متاح للجميع يا دكتورة. أنا منصة مدرستي للمملكة العربية السعودية فقط، لكن البرنامج متاح للجميع، يعني جميع أنحاء العالم.
نعم. أوكي، شكرا للتوضيح. Dr. Dakmara, what do you want us to do? We lost Mr. Muhammad Al-Hamoud, the last presenter. Would you like to wrap up?
Yes, I think we will wrap up. Maybe if you can contact him to see what happened. Maybe there is an electricity problem or connection problem, connectivity problem. In any case, the presentation of Mr. Mohamed Al-Hamoud was about using the techno-pedagogical applications to boost Arabic language skills. And we received one important question from one of the participants. I will also check for her name right in a minute. So Dr. Hala Ibrahim, she's asking, what is UNESCO doing to support Arabic language for students, including refugee students, and what tools can UNESCO offer? Now, I don't know if our colleague Mr. Fadi Yarak is still with us, but he's leading a project in our office, UNESCO Beirut, on promoting and enhancing Arabic language skills. And he would be a better position to explain what tools are offered by UNESCO. But I will share your question, Dr. Hala, to then ask him to provide you a response to this question. I also put in the chat part one recording of the previous webinar, the first one in September on quality teaching and learning. And as Dr. Muna mentioned to all of you, we will have now the possibility to put on our website and social media information with regard to the previous webinars, including this one, and to add the recordings. So please follow our website of UNESCO Beirut and our social media so that you can see the recordings of the previous webinars, including this one. So I would like to thank you once again for all these very impressive presentations that show that in our region, the challenge of new technologies is well taken, and that there are solutions, and that teachers play a very important role in managing the new technologies for pedagogical purposes. This series of webinars that our office is organizing this fall are actually dedicated to the World Teacher Day. Globally, the World Teacher Day was celebrated on the 5th of October. And the topic this year was about how to enhance the number of qualified teachers in different countries, how to attract teachers to this profession that sometimes is undervalued and is not maybe well paid or doesn't benefit of big social prestige. And yet teachers are very important in educating the new generation, in creating social cohesion, in working with parents, with other stakeholders. And I think our presentations today, they showed very clearly that teachers are not just passive deliverers of a curriculum, but they are very creative, they are daring, they are innovative, they don't fear to take up new challenges, and they can work together and with stakeholders, with their students, to find ways to enhance teaching and learning. So I think what we learned also today is because there is a wealth of resources, a wealth of different tools and platforms and instruments, we have to be selective. We have to know what we want to do. We have to adjust our digital transformation of education strategy to our purposes, to the conditions we work in, to our students, whether they are mainstream students, as they are called, or special needs students. And we have to be very sure that these tools we use, they develop skills. And all of our presenters today, they talked a lot about what kind of skills, what is the spectrum of skills that we have in mind, from knowledge through social emotional learning, through planning skills like someone mentioned, collaboration skills, problem-solving skills, and so on. Then you all mentioned the role of collaboration, because such endeavors, they are based, of course, on involving many people. And again, the lonely wolf strategy may work sometimes, but it's better if there is a whole pack working on these issues, and people don't feel alone, and they feel supported by their peers and by their managers and leaders and by their stakeholders. And last but not least, I think what I personally understood very well today is how using new technologies, how engaging with digital transformation of education can help us in our daily lives. It should be part of our daily lives, because it is beneficial. It can solve different problems. It can ease our work. And as human beings, we are always probably striving to have a better life, easier life. And I think this is one thing technologies can, of course, do. We should, of course, not overreact and think that if we don't use new technologies, we are lost. We are not, because I think there should be a good combination between traditional methods, traditional environments, and new technologies. And teachers are best positioned to judge, to assess, to make decisions with regard to what they are using and what not, according to their own conditions and students and environments. So thank you again. And I then will inform you about the upcoming webinar number 4, that will focus on education for sustainable development and greening education. But as said, in 2024, we want to continue this series of webinars, and we will actually go back to some of the topics that we selected, including digital transformation of education. So shukran, stay well, all of you, and see you then in November. Shukran.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Dr. Dakmara, the last presenter.